The Washington Commanders are sitting at number 7, and if the right star falls, this pick could unleash the kind of game-changing monster that turns them into instant Super Bowl contenders.
The Washington Commanders. I think he could go right in there and be Super Bowl contenders potentially within a year or two.
But what we do is we trust our board, trust our evaluations, and be ready to pick or do whatever we need to do with that pick. And so I do know this, like if we're sitting there at 7 and we do pick, I know we'll get a good player.
If you're there at 7 and you have some trade offers, if you're trading back, what are the factors you weigh? What goes into that decision possibly to do that? What might entice you to do that?
Yeah, I think with any trade, whether it's at 7 or anywhere, it's who's available. How far back are you going? What are you getting for it? Who do you think will be available wherever you're going back to? And obviously you certainly can't predict that. It's a little easier to predict at the top of the draft than it is like in the second or third round. You don't really know who's going to be available. There's a lot more variance at that point, but all those things that factor in, and just if there's someone like last year, we got a lot of offers when we picked Josh, and there's a lot of offers, but we said before the draft, if Josh is there, we're going to pick him, and certainly happy we did that, and so that's a window into kind of how we look at it. But if that wasn't the case, then we would have weighed all those other things that I just talked about.
I know you said at owners' meetings that you didn't anticipate a ton of trades just 'cause you always need somebody to move up, and there's not that same level of quarterback class this year. Do you anticipate picking at 7 at this point?
Yeah, certainly have to be ready to do that. I would say more likely than not that would happen, but you never know. You never know who's. It'll depend on who's on the board. If a team wants to move up, and then we have to decide if we want to do that. But I would say more likely than not we'd stay and pick. But I don't foresee us moving up. But moving back just depends on the circumstances. But we're not like, I don't want to say we're not actively trying to move back. We're always assessing our options and making sure we're ready, and then understanding who's going to be there at certain positions and certain spots, towards the middle to the later part of the first round. But and just being prepared for that, but not really actively trying to get out of that at all. But I think, David, I think it's always the same. You want to try to find a person that impacts your team, and when you're picking in the top 10, find someone that impacts your team, right away, and then for the long run. And defensively specifically, that could be anywhere on the field. And there's a lot of guys in that will possibly be there in different levels of the defense, really every position, quite frankly, that can really impact us in a real positive way. So we're fortunate in that way, and it just depends on who's there and who we think can, be the most impactful, not only in 2026 but in beyond. So I don't think there's anything, especially when you're picking in the top 10, there's not too many guys that aren't like scheme fits. They're all pretty good. So I think it's just picking the most impactful guy that can help us and help us win games.
Knowing this is a top 10 pick, top 7 pick, what is the pressure? What is the magnitude for kind of the organization of nailing this pick?
Yeah, you really, obviously you don't ever, the circumstances to get this pick, you never want to be in. And obviously that's, that sucked. But it's a great opportunity for us. It really is. It's a great opportunity to get better and to get impactful players. So it is a big pick, but I think all of our picks are big. And every single round you can hit a home run, and so this one I think the chances are a little bit greater. So you really want to make sure you don't make a mistake, or you don't you don't take you don't blow it, I guess, but. It's a great opportunity, I think, JP, and we've done a lot of work. Our scouting staff's done an incredible job digging up everything on all these guys, and we feel really, really confident in our evaluations of all the players. So I feel really good about it. I thought about that, and really for this is how I feel today. I might change my mind tomorrow, but right now I'm just focusing on us and making sure we have all our T's crossed and I's dotted and all that, and making sure we'll be ready for every scenario, regardless of what's going on. So like to listen to a rumor and it changes tomorrow and changes the next day, we're just going to be prepared for everything and not worry about, if this guy comes off the board or this guy comes off the board. Just be ready. Okay, this is what we want, and if that's not the case, then, and if not, then, and so on and so forth. So that's interesting you asked that question, because I was just thinking about that this morning. It's like we just got to figure out what we need to do for ourselves, and we can't control what's above us. So that's how I feel today. Ask me again tomorrow.
Is it worth though?
Is it worth? There's a lot more information out there, and there's just a lot more stuff everywhere, as you guys know. So, which makes it even easier, like just kind of easier to just ignore, because you don't really know, So,
this is a question kind of for both of you.
Obviously, right now, there's a ton of variables between now and a week from now. You've addressed all of that. But ultimately, what does success look like for you all come next Thursday night?
Just getting a lot of commanders that we know can come in and help us and add to the team and add to the competition. And so however that looks, however we do it, but just getting the right types of guys, the guys that fit what we do and how we play. And so that's what we're always looking for. And that's true for any draft.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Adam, what kind of, or how much can you share, I guess, of the type of wargaming that you guys do in the organization as you prepare for the draft?
Wargaming?
Yeah, we call it mock draft.
Okay. So we monitor all the mock drafts. I think, let's start with that. Like we monitor everything. The folks I talked about earlier, Sinu and his team, and then our R&D department does a great job of really getting all that stuff into our system. And so we can kind of have an idea of where guys are getting mocked, where guys are seen around the league, to the media, to the draft experts in the media. And that gives you an idea kind of where people are thought of publicly, which a lot of times is different than what it looks like in your building. So it kind of gives you a different perspective, so you're not so biased that you have a guy too low or too high. You kind of understand where maybe the league or others think of him. So we use all that information, and it keeps getting better and better. The guys are doing a great job of putting that together. And then, in terms of our mock drafts, we'll run a lot of simulations. We'll run a lot of simulated trades. If this happens, then what do we do? If this team calls, what do we do? What does that look like? Do we want to do that? Do we want to go back that far? Who's going to be there and all that? So all that stuff really starts happening right now, David. It's just we finished the draft meetings, and now it's the scenarios and those types of things. So that's what we'll shift to. And but yeah, that happens a lot. It's a good question.
And Lance, for you, obviously having a few years now to do this, how has your kind of just understanding of this entire process as an executive grown since you got into that seat?
I think it's always learning a new way of doing things. I've been through several different regimes and several different ways of coming to decisions and putting up boards and things like that. So learning how Adam operates and how he wants to operate, and like he talked about earlier, evolving, so we, kind of build a foundation and then build from that on. So I think just my time with him here, it's definitely been a new approach in certain aspects, and there's been parts of it that have been very new for me, and I've really embraced everything he's wanted to try to do, and also given him my feedback on my experiences and my history. So I think we're constantly trying to improve and build our process as good as it can be, and I think we're working towards being really good, and we still have some work to do, but I feel like every year we're making progress and making incremental steps towards being where we want to be in the end.
Adam, good to see you. Lance, good to see you. This is for you, Adam. If you do stay at 7, with what you accomplished in free agency, how, if at all, does that impact your approach with that pick and what you want to do there?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit in Arizona too, that really felt good about. And that's what we wanted to do coming out of free agency, was make it so we're not having to pick for need or having to pick, reach for a certain position or player. And so I think we all feel in the building, we feel really good about where we're at. Certainly we have a lot of time to add. We have the draft and a ton of time after that to add before we start playing games. But so we feel really good about being able to pick the best player available.
Honestly, you want the best player that can help you the most right now, but how much do you weigh kind of what you have on the roster, not just this year, but next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, kind of contractually? How much does that weigh into what you guys will do on Thursday through the weekend?
Yeah, all that factors in, Mitch. It really does. So who's coming up, who's a free agent this year, who's a free agent next year, so on and so forth. So understanding the big picture, not just in 2026, but after that, those definitely impact the decisions there too.
Hey, Adam, you guys have drafted not just athletes, but you've drafted like higher end guys. I think basically every one of your picks so far has been, according to various public metrics, like the top of the list of athletes. When did you kind of come across for you that this is what I want to do when it comes to building rosters with these types of players?
Yeah, I mean, you always try to pick the best athletes, I think, so, I think that's a big part of it for sure. I think everybody's trying to do that. You don't want to get a bunch of guys like me running around there. So, really that's part of it. But the part of it's the fit. Part of it's the fit in the building, the fit with the scheme. Just how we talk about being commanders, and a lot of those guys. Obviously the better players hopefully are better athletes, and they have some more upside, I think, too.
Hey, Adam, you got two new coordinators, Blau over on this side in your right ear, Jones over here in your left ear. Has any of those guys in pleading their case left any notes on your desk in trying to get the player that they want?
Not yet. But I will say, it's been awesome working with them. And, both of those guys have been really cool. And I've said this before, and Lance can attest to this too, but really great, really collaborative, really helpful in getting us all, our whole scouting staff, to understand what we're trying to do offensively and defensively. And if there's something that's not clear, really doing a good job of crystallizing that, and been really involved in all these draft meetings, and really, active participants. And so the process has been really good with those guys, and really excited about moving forward. Both in the draft process, but also as coaches, really impressed by both of them. But there haven't been any campaigns yet, but there's still a lot of time.
Yeah, they've both been super cooperative with our staffs, and the collaboration between our scouts and the coaching staff, and those two in particular, has been great. They've been they've put a lot of time into this draft process, and they've really helped us to understand their vision, and we've tried to explain to them what's available and what's out there, and the level of collaboration and cooperation has been outstanding with those two specifically.
Yeah.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.